What's going on, guys?
Happy Friday.
How you doing,
Yes,
Miles?
thank you for taking. Yeah, good. How are you guys?
Always good. We're in the surplus business. We are Serpies, so we're always good.
Doing good.
Always busy, always having a fun time, of course. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I know you guys have a lot going on with the biggest Army Navy store in the world there, CamoLOTS.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is our month. October is usually our busiest month, being Halloween, with the goblins and the sexy nurses and the heroes and the FDNYs and the NYPDs and all those people running around. And we're outfitting them. We are truly the number one store in New York City for 20 years. A million people come to that parade, and we are always lineups down 8th Street, full of people coming in, dressing as Tom Cruise or whatever. And we were the outfitting. We had everyone in our change rooms or not in our change rooms. People were getting naked in the store. And it was typical 8th Street with Electric Lady, a studio across the street from my store. And we were lucky to be on 8th Street. And in Toronto, we had some pretty cool Halloween business too.
Yeah, Toronto, we had a very small store, and we had another store that was medium sized. But the small store is famous because I used to have to stand at the front door, and there was lineups of like 100 people outside. And we had to give them 4 minutes each in the store during Halloween. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds like so much fun. I'm going to have to make a trip out there one of these days and check your place out. Can't believe I've never been out there.
No, we're going to bring you to Buffalo. We'll take you to Niagara Falls, like all our Japanese customers. And you'll be on the Maid of the Mist. Rob's friend owns the Maid of the Mist. It's one of the oldest companies in America.
Hudson Bay Company is the oldest.
Wow. That's Canada. But anyways, we invite you here for chicken wings and a real football game, and there's no snow ever.
Definitely come in the winter,
Awesome.
Mom.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like fun.
We'll set you up with snowshoes. You and me will go winter camping. I got a 60 degree below sleeping bag for you, perfect size. Don't worry about it. You'll be in a tent. We'll outfit you. You'll have a real snowshoe experience. It's like we'll take you out there just like I take the Boy Scouts out there. You'll love it.
That sounds like fun. I'm always looking for an excuse to wear all this wool and trench coats and great coats and stuff that we've got. It's like 100 degrees here for 3 weeks in a row every summer. Our winters aren't very cold here, so I never have an excuse to wear all the great surplus we've got. But I'll have to check out there and put it to the test.
Yeah, you're definitely in paradise.
Yeah, well, we were in paradise, of course. Then there was that fire, and now we're in Chico, right down the hill. But still feels like paradise to me. It's a beautiful place.
No, we all go through ups and downs in our lives, and your fire, wow. We were there praying for you guys. We were there trying to support you and offer anything from across the country, but we can't even imagine how fast that moved on you guys and what you dealt with. And thank goodness you're sitting here, and your father. Wow,
you guys had such a loss. It's like it was unbelievable, and we just experienced that with we have a warehouse in Pampa, and we just experienced that because Pampa had a huge fire as well. So it was like we realized what you were going through. It's like incredible, and the whole world's going through turmoil now. So they need our Army surplus stores. They need us military Serpies.
And Pampa, because no one knows where Pampa is. Not Tampa. Pampa is Texas.
Sorry. Okay.
Gotcha. Well, it's amazing how, horrible things like that can happen, and you can't really plan for them. But if you just kind of dig through and keep going, you might find yourself in a better place on the other side, and things are going so well for us now.
Wow.
It's hard to know what things would have been like if that fire didn't happen, and of course you'd want to wish it could have never happened, but I'm also pretty happy with the way things are now. And, life just happens the way that it does, and you just kind of got to roll with the punches.
Absolutely. You got a nice outlook.
You're with your storm bags, you're saving so many people. You're providing such a great service for people that are going through their own disasters. And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Basically all of our remaining inventory made its way to Florida. And at the moment we're totally back ordered. It's going to be months until we're caught up. It's been crazy. And we actually have a film crew here a couple weeks ago doing a little docuseries for a show in Germany called Galileo. and that should be airing here in a couple weeks in Germany. We won't be able to see it here, but it's just kind of weird how small the world is. It's totally a coincidence, that my dad's German. They
Yeah,
saw it. I think they saw the Shark Tank
it was in
episode, or
Germany.
they saw something on social media, and they heard the story with the fire, and they thought, well, what the hell? That sounds like there must be a story there. And yeah, these couple of German guys flew out and spent a couple days with them, just drove them through paradise and showed them, where I used to live, where the warehouse used to be. And then we talked about the storm bags and the Shark Tank thing, and sort of, how I
Interesting.
jumped into the business with my father after the fire. Because, he had such a huge collection of surplus up there in paradise. It was like basically his retirement. And insurance is never going to understand the value of, a Swiss Army blanket that you bought in 1999 for $3 that's now worth $150. They're going to say it's worth $3. And when
Yeah.
you've got a warehouse full of stuff like that, there's just no way to recoup. So,
We remember when we were speaking to
he
your
was at
father,
this point of thinking,
and he was talking, and we were looking at the California fire map, and we looked at campsite, and I couldn't believe they actually called it campsite, but I learned a little bit about forest fires because I didn't know anything about it before, seeing how it ravaged that whole area, and such a huge area, and so many people. It's, yeah, fire, water, earthquakes, Mother Nature can be pretty fierce.
yeah, and I like to think about, oh, well, maybe we should move away from here because we don't like the fires. It's like, well, then there could be tornadoes or hurricanes or any
No,
other natural disaster, you name it. There's really nowhere that you can be that you're totally safe from these things.
41 people died in Buffalo a couple years ago from our 7-foot snow.
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember that. There was like a huge freeze up there. That
Yeah,
was all over the news.
and in front of we have a retail store a kilometer down the street, which is zero point 0.6 of a mile. But all the truckers couldn't get across the border. The Peace Bridge is right here because Buffalo sits on the border of Canada. And there were 500 tractor trailers. We were handing out blankets, MREs, meal heaters, liquids, and all down there. We had the city of Buffalo unbury our store so we can get into the store and actually get to these emergency supplies. And our warehouse, it seems like when you're in the Army surplus business, you're called to action when disasters happen. As September 10th, 2001, I was at a Michael Jackson concert with a studded Air Force t-shirt that said "Death from Above," and I was in Madison Square Gardens with a cowboy hat, a camouflage cowboy hat, and I stayed up to my friends outside of Madison Square Gardens on 34th Street and looked out the window at 8-ish and saw some weirdness going downtown. And I was running down Park Avenue to our 8th Street store in my cowboy boots, Death from Above t-shirt, as these buildings were on fire. And our store never closed. 8th Street was a store for marshals, firemen, police. Everyone used our store for equipment. Rob was in Buffalo shipping military vehicles from Buffalo. It was one of the only vehicles that would enter Manhattan because it was with elbow pads and knee pads and coveralls and everything, gloves, things that they were short on in such quick notice. Everyone needed basic things. You need dry socks when you're sitting there trying to put out that kind of fire and rescue.
Logistically, it was a
Yeah,
nightmare.
there was a lot of like just going through the rubble.
Yeah, well, going through the rubble, they needed everything, especially for the dogs and everything. Just it was such turmoil. But the worst thing was, Richard needed all this stuff, and I'm here in Buffalo, and so we had truckloads and truckloads packed for stuff for all the branches of service, the military, the police force, fire department, everyone. Anyways, so we had it all packed. We had it all ready to go out the door. And then we found out that the tractor trailers and trucks couldn't go across the bridges. They closed everything for everything going across the bridges. So I went down and I got to the Greyhound station and I got 2 Greyhound buses. I bought out the buses, filled them up, and sent the buses down because they were allowing buses across the bridge. So the buses pulled up in front of his store and they unloaded. It's crazy. That was a crazy story.
Oh, wow. You just filled it up and got the stuff over there whatever way you could.
Underneath the buses.
That's amazing. It sounds like you guys have really done a lot.
The whole place. It was crazy. So logistically, it was like a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys managed, which is awesome. And
This
sounds like the
paradise.
community there must really appreciate you guys.
No, it's September 11th. It quickly turned after that, after the kind of rescue. The store never closed. The gang, we looked down McDougal Street, our store on 8th Street, and we saw the towers fall. We were on that side with my staff. Everyone showed up to work, and we were watching the first tower fall, and then the second. Something you never forget. But we were open. We were open late. After the rescue, kind of, we were selling American flags, hundreds of thousands of flags, donating them, everything to do with America. And it's then we moved into survival even after that with the gas masks. That was a big thing for us, teaching people how to make makeshift shelters in their showers with duct tape and plastic.
Yeah, we had military training in our store. Taught people how to use gas masks, how to mount them, how to unmount them, how to all sorts of things to do with survival. It was we've done that quite a few times in history because we've had a long history. We've been around for a long time. Actually, your town was famous because I used to ship a ton of stuff to a company called ISW, International Surplus Warehouse, which is
Yeah.
your dad would know, but that was a long time ago. And I used to ship container loads to the guys. Steve Seidenglans was one of the guys. He's still in business. And basically they used to receive a ton of stuff because we were the only, and we still are pretty much, but we were the only ones buying from so many countries. My father isn't with us now, but he's an amazing resourceful person, creative marketing person. Him and my mother together were unbelievable. And my mother just retired from the business, and she lives in Toronto.
She'll never retire.
Well, she'll definitely never retire. But my mother and father are famous. It's like my father's like known as king.
Retired
king
in quotes.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, we've had a lot of history, and it's like I got to thank my parents for bringing us into this business. Sometimes it's a good thing.
When did they start the business? How long have you guys been in business?
Yeah. So my dad was 16, and he had to raise some money to pay for his wedding. So he bought some Canadian combat boots, like 5,000 boots or something, sorted them, cleaned them up, flipped them, paid for the wedding, and bought a T-Bird convertible with the change to my mother. And that's it. They were first loves and last loves. And they were the original 5 in North America after World War II, like Lance Army Navy, Jack Zaglin, Isaac Geist. So our father, Isaac, was a little bit different because he was from Toronto, and most of these guys were in the States. So he was buying a lot out of England very, very early. We had a warehouse in London, and he was buying directly. So we had stores in Toronto where Roger Daltrey, Michael Jackson, Usher, Drake now shop, because we were a fashion-based store. We're not military family. It's fashion, it's function. We were always about sustainable recycling. Before it got hot and trendy, military was the best way to recycle. My father found things that before the waste all over the world. He was buying American stuff in Korea. He was buying stuff in Germany. He was buying stuff in Mönchengladbach in England.
We bought stuff in. That was my sort of childhood, I guess I would say. That's my roots, because when I was, I think I was 16 years old, the first time, one of the original Serpies, there's only, like the NHL has originals, the Serpies have the originals. My dad's one of the originals. You know, one day the old trade show was the Army Navy show, the ASD, they called it. They just had a small group of people with tables and, put things on the tables, under the tables, on the walls. And it was just a small little show. Now the whole industry has grown, but it was
changed.
It was definitely a small group of people. They all knew each other. They all traded. And my dad was very unique, being the only Canadian, the only one who would buy from all over the world directly from the militaries. So my thing is, they sort of, it was a shotgun wedding. It was like, you have to be in this business. And I was put on an airplane to go pick up my this load, and you couldn't transfer money between Canada and the States so fast. I had to go over to sorry,
Money exchange?
no. I had to go to Atlanta. Sorry, I was thinking of the town. I had to go to Atlanta because my father bought stuff from the DRMO in Atlanta, and he sold it at the trade show. And at the trade show, they transferred money. They like passed money to each other.
Like gas pants?
I got on what? No, I got on a plane, went to Atlanta. As they were at the trade show, I had a load up thing, but I had to come with I was 16 years old. I had come with $23,000 in a briefcase just to pay the teller.
And
It's
the day before,
man.
Rob had a briefcase underneath the.
No, that was another time.
Another time?
That was another time.
Rob had his car stolen, and he had a big load of cash under the seat. And we say cash because the government didn't deal.
Well, no, at that time it was money orders. I had a lot of money orders. It was the middle of winter. I pulled up to a Tim Hortons. I wanted my coffee.
With a bag of cash.
I left. No, there was some cash, but it was mostly money orders, and it was a lot of them. And they stole my friggin' car. I thought my dad would kill me, absolutely kill me.
They found it down the street.
And the car ran out of gas. Okay, it's like what luck.
I just want to say one thing. There's so much to say. Thank you for having us. Seriously, you're doing amazing thing for everyone. Anyone who's watching this, it's an amazing industry. We can't even. We'll talk about 0.0% of it right now, but we want to thank you and thank everyone who's watching, and thank you for getting involved in this business because it's more than we know. The history is unbelievable. The valor. We have in this building 20 million pounds of clothing going back to the late 1800s, 1896. I think we have a shovel from Hungary. World War I, of course, and going right to the current theater. But it's unbelievable. We can walk into the 7th floor, and we have bales from East Germany, and we have stuff from Rob went to Russia when the wall fell. He was there, and he was getting container loads of Yashenkas. This is a little different than if you go to a typical Army Navy store who has a little shelf. My dad was buying in containers directly from militaries. That's what Rob means. We grew up when I was a kid. My dad would have a translator reading Danish. He was translating the catalog from Denmark.
In fact, I was going through some old files that Richard was having me throw out that we were clearing some space. This is how our files were kept, okay, in binders instead of filing cabinets, and they were organized. But in it, it's amazing if you look through it. You got things from the Canadian government purchasing this is 1982. Okay, purchasing blankets. Oh, we just bought a lot of blankets. So blankets, cotton pants. My father, this here was most interesting that I found. This is from the Swedish military. My father bought. Well, shut up. My father bought an entire hospital. 45 container loads was loaded up in containers. 40-foot containers from hospitals that couldn't fit at all. And then they tore down the hospital. It was in Sweden. And he then, at the time, Kazakhstan just became a country. He shipped the hospitals to Kazakhstan. They bought it. And it went there, went through customs, went through transit and everything. And they used all the goods. So we're in the recycling business, but can you imagine all the things in the hospital and all the medicines had to be separated and everything? It was amazing. But they rebuilt it, and the hospital's still there, and all the products are still there. So we buy tons of different things, from clothing items. When I was in Russia, they offered me a ton of vehicles, a ton of night vision because that was what they were special. In San Diego, there's a submarine. There's a Queen Mary boat in San Diego, and then right behind it, there's a submarine. They offered me that submarine out of Moscow, and someone else bought it. I didn't buy it because, anyways, now it's a museum. Anyone can go there and see the submarine. It's amazing. That was the actual submarine. They towed it across the ocean.
We're gonna turn the floor over to you again because we could talk for everyone. But I just wanted to shout
You got stories.
to my father. My father was Isaac, and we have a museum, a 40,000 square foot museum downstairs on the first floor of our building.
Ike's Bunker.
Ike's Bunker, and all our unique stuff. We have stuff that you guys would all go loony bins. We went through yesterday. We don't open it up so much. There's 3 sections, 3 quadrants with laser beams everywhere. We like to secure it, but
No, I needed some Marine Corps stuff because I just actually today gave some stuff for a funeral, and I needed some Marine Corps stuff from someone who passed away. They needed it for a funeral, so I had to go into the museum. Richard has it under lock and key. He doesn't even give me the freaking combo.
Just because that's a little different thing. Rob is an outfitter, and he does outfit people who have passed away to honor them. People have been doing it for years all over, where they call and they say, my father went to Vietnam or was in World War II, and he'll do the research.
They send me the DD-214s. I look at the DD-214s. But not only U.S., Canada, England, Australia, many countries, people need these things. So they need a uniform, or they want to put a shadow box together, or their uniform, they need some suggestions. Most people don't know, so we give them suggestions. But you know what the amazing thing is? Our customers taught me all this. Our customers taught me everything. So that's the amazing thing. I gotta thank our customers, because our customers, they come in, they teach us. It's so interesting to learn about these things. It makes life very interesting, and you form great friendships. So it's great.
Yeah, every time that I think I know something, one of our customers will teach me how it actually is, and there's like absolutely no way that one person could know everything about every piece of military equipment from the entire history of the world. But man, there's some people out there that get pretty close, and for them to even just have an outlet to talk about it is awesome. I grew up watching my dad kind of build the business. He used to work with some other folks that you mentioned in Chico when I was really, really little, and then he opened up SwissLink when I was a kid. And I never really thought that I would get into the business. He always sort of wanted me to pursue my own interests and passions and things. It certainly wasn't the shotgun wedding situation that you described earlier. And it was really, I would help him with marketing things here and there. I did some of the photography for the items for the website. Part-time, I'd work on Fridays, that sort of thing, just to kind of help out. But after the fire, at that time I was doing graphic design. That's kind of my first love. I really like design. And
oh yeah, you're great. You do some good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. And he basically wasn't sure if he wanted to continue the business or not. But we had a container of fuel cans coming that we needed to receive anyways, or redirect or do something with. And it was kind of like a decision needs to be made fast now if the business is going to be rebuilt or not. And we just sort of sat down, had a heart to heart, and I was like, okay, if you're going to do it, start from scratch. Like I'll jump in and kind of switch gears and help you with this business. And fast forward, gosh, almost 6 years now down the road. And he's working on that soft retirement in air quotes, he'll never fully step away. It's too fun, especially, the part with the vendors in Europe and everything and all the relationships. It becomes a labor of love, of course, but I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished in the last 6 years. I'd say we're in a much better place now than before the fire. We've got so much stuff going on. I mean, he invented that storm bag back in the 90s and basically kept making it because there were a few customers that would just kind of keep buying it. A couple hospitals were using them, and the Pearl Harbor Naval Base in Hawaii buys about 6,000 of them every year.
Wow.
So he just kind of kept making them just for those orders. And I thought, we really ought to take this to a trade show, do something. I really think that there's something here, and we took it to a trade show. As a Natural Disaster Expo in Los Angeles. And, wow. It hardly ever rains down there, but just by total coincidence, there was a huge rainstorm in LA with flooding and everything. while we were at that trade show. So it was totally top of mind for everybody. We sort of had the perfect product, that was kind of addressing the current situation at hand. And that was all with like local municipalities. There were fire departments and school districts and like local contractors kind of represented at that trade show. And it went really well from just a traditional standpoint, but I had just created a TikTok account for Swisslink, and we needed to post something because to be honest, social media doesn't really come natural to me. But I thought we just need to have some sort of content. And my dad had been doing that pitch for the storm bags all day long, and I thought, why don't I just record one and post it on there? And for some reason, you never know how these things work. That video went totally viral. It had like 2-3 million views on TikTok, a couple million across YouTube and Instagram and everywhere else. So altogether, it was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 million views, which for us was like, oh my God, that's crazy. You couldn't pay for that amount of advertisement. And that, of course, had a huge boost. And then through that, some producers at Shark Tank saw it, and they reached out, and we, fast forward a few months, and we're down in LA recording an episode of Shark Tank, which was insane. I mean, you can't even imagine like that you'd be standing there like shaking hands with Mark Cuban, but it happened.
Yeah.
And sort of the rest is history with that. The storm bags have been going gangbusters ever since. We ended up not doing the deal with Mark and Lori that we had agreed upon at the show. There's a big process of due diligence on both ends, and we just kind of decided that we didn't really need to get the funding that was offered. We could do it ourselves, and why give up a big chunk of your business if you don't need to.
You got some
And I
great
feel like
marketing.
that was a pretty good decision, because the day that episode aired, we made more money on our retail website than we would have even gotten, with that deal, just because of the.
Wow.
I mean, I can't believe that people just sit there watching Shark Tank, and they were literally placing orders on our website like before our pitch was even done. I mean, it was like in real time while they're watching the show, they're buying the product. I was like, holy crap, that's crazy.
Perfect info.
I know. Yeah. So that's just a random windfall. You could never recreate a situation like that, but because of that whole thing, I started to really pay attention to social media and like I've been trying in waves to post more and do more stuff online. And I've come across some really incredible young people, that are a decade younger than me, who are just killing it online, doing an amazing job. I mean, these are guys in their early 20s with like, 500,000 followers online selling Flecktarn parkas. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? This is crazy, and I always say like a rising tide raises all ships, and if they're out there like growing the market for military surplus, especially the unique European stuff, kind of making it cool again, that's like the most amazing thing to me. I'm so grateful for them doing what they're doing. It's awesome, and I'm doing my best to copy it and steal all their good ideas. And so that's kind of what this podcast is about. This is only
Original
the 4th episode.
rules.
I just want to talk to everybody in the industry and kind of see what people's stories are and get different perspectives and really just get to know everybody better, because it's still a small industry. There's only so many people out there doing what we're doing. We might as well all be friends. It's kind of the way I see it. So I just want to kind of connect with everybody.
It's always been like that in this industry. It's been so tight, and everyone has been friends, and everyone's helped each other move goods from this person to this person. It's like, definitely our customers teach us a lot, but definitely the old timers that were in this business teach us a lot. And we learn from the young people who come in and integrate new sentences of marketing. We learn from our designers who come in and buy these wool blankets that we have behind us and make. This guy just brought Richard this jacket. He made out of our wool blankets, he made this cool anoraks. He used the terry towel material. He lined
That's out of the wool
the
blanket.
hood,
The wool blanket.
and he used a bed sheet from EHS, see, Emergency Health Services.
Oh
And
yeah, nice.
so he used the bed sheet and he lined it in. So these customers
That's amazing.
inspire us, right? They inspire us. We don't have time for it ourselves, but we listen to them, and these customers inspire us.
Look what I made 20 years ago in Manhattan. I put it together. It's made out of this came from a Chesterfield, a couch.
That's because he hangs out with Ralph Lauren.
No.
So
Oh, that's sweet, man.
I'm
That's
not
so cool.
I'm not in those leagues.
No, so obviously you have to shave your mustache like Logan if you want to have a following like he does, because AP's amazing. I sit there, we sit there and we cheer him on, and a lot of the other young people that are in this, it's amazing seeing young blood. It's we agree with you. Also, we had usually two stores of our own. Like in Toronto, we had one store on the south side and one store on the north side that was kind of competing with each other, different names, and it creates a community. It creates competition, friendly competition, because it was our own store, but we're all in this together. If Logan does well and brings awareness on the Flectar jacket or whatever, it obviously helps us. He's in the middle of the country. You're on the West Coast. We're on the East Coast. It's 350 million people in this country, and there's enough. They're not even crumbs in this country. We're very lucky to be in this country, and there are the loaves and loaves of breads for all of us to eat.
Oh yeah. And the cool thing about surplus is it's not like we all have the same stuff at the same time anyways, all this stuff is pretty unique. I mean, there's certain items that we'll all get regularly that just kind of keep coming up, but it's so vast and it's so interesting, and it all comes at different times. A batch of something will get released, and then you'll kind of see oh, these guys have it, and all of a sudden everybody's got a Romanian parka on their shelves or something, and I don't know, it's just really cool.
True.
You talked about ASD, it kind of branched off. Now there's the ANME show, and we hadn't gone for a while just because well, of course there was the fire, we were busy, but even a few years before that, we just kind of stopped going because it was a lot of the same stuff, and it's expensive to get out there and everything. But we went back last year, and I was fully prepared to be the youngest person there by 20 years, because it's always been that way, and all of a sudden it's there's all these young guys there buying up stuff for their stores, and I'm like, God, this is so cool.
Yeah, it's not only going to Army Navy stores. Everyone's buying from all different industries. We sell so much to the thrift industries, so much to movie productions, costumes. But there's always been, even when you were growing up, right? Always been a cross market. You had to go to all these different markets. You had to sort of use yourself to call up Western Costume and call up this person, and all these people from all over search out us, but we're searching them too, and we're juggling things around to just use our creative sense of marketing, just like you did with the storm bags. And
it's funny for the young people out there. There was a time where you would have to search customers out. You would find the mine who needs duffel bags for their shovels. Now it's reverse. They just put a little word in duffel bag in a Google search and they find you. It's totally switched how customers are finding you by your content, by things like this. Content. It's an amazing switch.
And if you don't have it out there, they won't be able to find you. They'll find somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got to put yourself out there in a way that's totally different. I mean, not too long ago, it was all about catalogs, right? Sending out catalogs. If you had a website, that was a bonus. And nowadays, it's it's difficult business doing catalogs. I know, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Deutsche Optics, Luddites. They've been, killing it with their catalog. They've got a very unique set of customers that are, never going to give it up, sort of. And
well, they have a
he
unique.
Sold that now. There's a new owner now, and they're going strong. They're doing good. I hope they can keep that same energy, that it had before.
Remember the Banana Republic, the original Banana Republic catalog?
Yeah.
We were selling
before
to them.
It was Gap.
Yeah, yeah, before the Gap, and then our J.P. Peterman.
Yeah, the J. Peterman catalog, the Gap, the Banana Republics. We were like a main supplier to Banana Republic when they had all their stores. Like in Sacramento, they had one of their original stores. New York, right near Times Square.
The Glaziers.
We used to go in. They used to use us in the middle of the night for merchandising all their German wool army pants, and they had
Yeah,
Jeeps.
a lot of people don't
They
even
don't.
know that Banana
No, they
Republic
don't know.
was
No,
a
they don't know.
Most people
selling
don't.
surplus. You know.
Yeah, it used to sell a lot. And then my father made a concept. Our father was doing things always.
Dr. Livingston.
But he opened a store in Tucson, Arizona, outside the University of Arizona, from a guy who lived in Toronto. He thought it was a good test market, and he hung a plane from the ceiling. It was called Dr. Livingston, I presume, and it was a safari store. And he put surplus, he put vintage, and he did pretty well, but it was too far. He then opened a store in the
Yeah.
West Edmonton Mall, being the biggest mall in the world, and he did an airplane carrier, like a whole.
No,
it was an aircraft. It was a Quonset hut.
It was a Quonset hut
Right.
in a mall in front of a giant
The whale.
whale in the world's biggest mall, and it was a Quonset hut, and the racks were unbelievable. They built out the store for us because we were so unique, and they built the whole store. It was crazy. Everyone was wearing flight suits. It was a crazy store.
Stuff.
It was the only mall in the world that has 4 submarines. They actually had almost as many submarines as Canada.
More, I think. Canadian military.
Maybe they had more than 4.
In a mall.
This is where we're sitting right now. This is our building. So we're very, very fortunate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a very large. Frank Lloyd Wright built. This was back in 1902. This was built. This is a 500,000 square feet, and we're very lucky. And I think the world's about to see, because we've always been supplying our own stores, so we really weren't doing wholesale. We weren't doing so much, but we're now changing a little bit. We're now really going to pump some things through. We launched our first website when we wrote the code in '98. We wrote our own shopping cart. Shopify came out in 2006, and we wrote it in '98. My cousin actually wrote it for us, the code.
Yeah, I think Swisslink.com was started right around that time too, and I'm
Wow.
like, man,
Amazing.
how early, Yeah.
And your father,
It's
let me just tell you about your father. When I went to my first trade show in Vegas, I set up to the racks. We used to do a pretty big show, but I was nervous in my first show. I was young, and my mom was there. I think you were there. Wife number 1 was there. But your father settled me down. Your father talked to me about how you sell to the trade, from a clipboard, always have a pen in your hand, make sure you have business cards, how you pull people into your booth. Your father gave me a lot of great advice, and I really will never forget that of him. He really, like you are right now, he took me in and cultivated me, and I've given him, hopefully, back some cultivation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Wasn't
He's
he?
got a lot of experience at trade shows. He's been
Wasn't your father?
he made a living on those.
I'm now things are coming back to me. Wasn't your father the head in sales? He ran the whole sales team for ISW.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, before
that's where I first met your father. Exactly. With the Swiss, I remember. I think we bought a Swiss. It was a couple of these carriers that a horse would pull, like a wagon, a giant wagon. I can remember back then. We went there and we got it. They had big wooden wheels, and that's when I first met your father.
I just
we had a few of those up in Paradise, and man, they were difficult to load into a trailer. Oh my gosh, we had at one point we had these kitchen wagons, like horse-drawn kitchen wagons with like, I don't know what they weighed, but it was a tremendous wagon with like huge cast iron pots and everything. It was heavier than a car.
Those were amazing. Amazing. I wish we had them today.
We nearly killed ourselves trying to get that into a trailer one time, like with the forklift at weird angles and everything, just trying to squeeze that thing up there. Took like 6 people in 2 hours, but those are the kind of things you encounter in this business, which is fun.
Hey guys, I just want to show you this. That my brother is quite the garment dyer. He's been dyeing for many, many years. There's a few people. I Goldberg used to be in Philadelphia. Used to do great garment dyeing, and Colonel Bubby's down in Texas. He's no longer with us, but he used to do great garment dyeing.
The original is UFO. Leo
UFO.
Brody.
UFO did
Robert Brody. You might know Robert Brody. He's young, but I don't know.
This is a frisé liner, the silk in the inside. A frisé liner. Look how Rob just dyed this purple. You can't really see it, but it makes garment dyeing. It's a whole nother item because not only do they wash it, but they garment dye it, and it comes out. It feels different, smells different, it looks different. But we've been doing a lot with garment dyeing. It's expensive. It's like almost $10 a pound, but it's worth it. Look at that. You make a whole new item out of it. Upcycling, recycling.
Our warehouse manager has a Flecktarn parka that he dyed black. So
Wow.
it's like a night camo version of Flecktarn. It's awesome. He wears it in the winter. Love that.
Warm. Now I'm ready for Buffalo. The warmth is in me.
Yeah, there you go.
On me. I got to promote my Buffalo.
I think this was episode number 1. I think we went over our allotment.
It's all good. No plan here. Just having some fun. I really appreciate you guys taking some time and chatting and sharing some stories and stuff. We'll have to do it again, but next time in person. Maybe I'll come out to Buffalo one of these days and
please.
We're coming out there. We want to hear your dad in person playing guitar. Your dad's amazing.
There you go. Next time he's got a big gig in our area, I'll let you guys know and you can come check it out. Yeah,
don't worry.
He's great.
I'm on his list, so I know.
I'm a little biased, but I think he's fantastic.
Hey, just quickly, we did a deal. He was heading to Vegas to do a gig in one of the casinos, and I was like, "Hey, I just bought a lot of an item there." And he went to his gig, he played, and then he went to check out this item, and he bought it. Like, he's amazing how he just on the fly gets things done.
Oh yeah, he does not procrastinate. That's one amazing thing. He gets stuff done too fast sometimes. It's hard to keep up.
So the key, I'm glad you're doing this because really I've always racked my brains on how this whole, like when you're in the store, when you're in the warehouse, when you're dealing with military, when you're dealing all over the world, there's all these people, all these enthusiasts, and it's a whole community out there. And that community really helps us out. They teach us a lot in the store, and they teach us a lot online, and they give us ideas. That whole community and our industry have to come together because the information, the stories, the what comes out of creating something like this, and the stories behind this. And this was used in the movie Quadrophenia, and Roger Daltrey and the Who came about by wearing their mod parkas and these, and people don't know this history. People don't know this. So our whole community, if everyone contributes to a source pool, like a Wikipedia, like that, it's like all this information, the young people would get very interested in preserving.
We're young people, Rob.
And we're I'm old.
This is dyed gray.
The whole
This is white. It's not gray.
We're a sustainable company. And I was wearing this hat because I just became part of a large group of recyclers. And we try to, you're trying to save the world, but this is our little contribution to saving the world. Is all these items aren't dumped. All these items go back into tax dollars. All the money we pay for the goods, they're going back into tax dollars and replacing part of the budget so that it doesn't come out of everyone's paycheck. And
all this stuff already exists. It's not like, if you go buy a new parka or a new backpack or a new pair of boots or something, that had to be created with resources and everything. And meanwhile, there's a warehouse like yours full of great stuff that really just needs to be given a new home. It's better than recycling. It's reusing. It's like they say, reduce, reuse, recycle. Reuse comes before recycle. There's nothing better. And it's a green product for sure. Just in general. And
we always say Army surplus is the original green because it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just olive drab, it's a little different.
Come visit us.
Olive drab is the new green. There we go. That's our slogan.
Guys, thank you so much, Swiss Link.
Come visit us.
Yeah, we will. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Take care. Happy Friday.
Bye.
Yes.